Hey Kaiju fans, I'm Cooper, and today we'll be taking a look at two giant monsters of the South Seas, Ganimes and Kamoebas. Debuting in 1970's Space Amoeba, Ganimes and Kamoebas were created by the titular alien during its attempted conquest of Earth. Following the destruction of the mutant cuttlefish Ghizora on Sergio Island, the amoeba possessed a rubble crab and transformed it into Ganimes. When the human opposition overcame this monster too, the alien creature turned to another crab and a mata turtle, creating a second Ganimes and Kamoebas. Once the amoeba's control over them was broken, both monsters fought to the death. While Ganimes has largely fallen into obscurity, Kamoebas went on to appear in Go Godman as perhaps the best looking recycled monster suit, and 3 decades later managed a stint in Godzilla Tokyo SOS as a corpse. Kamoebas' name combines the Japanese word for turtle, kame, and amoeba, while Ganimes is derived from the Japanese word for crab, kani. The letter S at the end of their trademarked names are not present in Japanese. An on-set photo shoot and the film's theatre programme and press sheet reveal Ganime and Kamoeba as Toho's original English translations. The press book for American Internationals released the movie instead wrote the latter name as Kamoeba. The Kamoebas and Ganimes suits were modelled by Nobuyuki Yasumaru, the protege of Toho's chief modeller Teizo Toshimitsu, while their suits' internal mechanisms were realised by technician Akinori Takagi. Kamoebas' body was sculpted in clay and moulded, then cast in latex. The spikes on his shell were made from hard rubber. The monster was portrayed by Ultra Series suit actor Hariyoshi Nakamura, who would enter the suit from the bottom through a slit in the abdomen. Takagi fitted the suit with a mechanism to extend its neck, modified from a bicycle pump and springs from gym equipment. Freon gas would propel the neck forward, reportedly making a loud popping noise which startled Nakamura. Motors allowed the neck to move left and right. Yasumaru also modelled a small prop of the unmutated mata turtle with contracting springs and limbs to make them move. The effect evidently wasn't very convincing, as the prop went completely unused in the film, replaced by a dressed-up Japanese pond turtle. However, it can still be spotted in some promotional stills. Toho reused the Kamoebas suit for the monster's appearance in an episode of the 1973 television series Go Godman. The shell of Ganimes was also sculpted in clay and cast. Yasumaru took inspiration from another crustacean created by his mentor 4 years earlier. In his own words, "I made Ganimes with reference to Mr. Toshimitsu's Ebira, and I thought that I could make it even better." Yasumaru decorated the Ganimes suit with palm fronds to simulate hair, a deviation from Toshimitsu's typical method of using goat hair. The drawback was that the fronds were highly flammable, with Yasumaru staying on set during filming to monitor them. Takagi installed between 6 and 8 servo motors into Ganimes' head so that its mouthparts could be radio controlled, while a mechanism in its shell blew foam from the mouth with a compressed air cylinder. The eyes could also be radio controlled. Ganimes was portrayed by Haruo Nakajima, who doubled as the actor for Ghizora. According to him, Ganimes was so stiff that I don't think I could act very well, and could mostly only click the claws together. That's why I don't remember much about it. A giant full-scale claw was used to interact with the human characters, and a small wire-operated model was blown up for the first individual's death. The concept of a giant object washing ashore on Kujikuri Beach originated with Masahiro Yokotani's drafts for Godzilla 2004. In his 4th revision, a giant cocoon washed ashore. The JXSDF assumed it belonged to Mothra and prepared to destroy it with a maser cannon, only for Godzilla to emerge, having been encased in silk after a battle with Mothra's lava. Director Masaaki Tezuka's rewrites shifted Godzilla and Mothra's roles in the story, and replaced the cocoon with the carcass of a giant Leopleurodon killed by Godzilla, which Shinji Nishikawa drew concept art of. However, Toho decided it was unnecessary to create an original creature just to have it appear as a corpse, and so suggested that Tezuka incorporate an existing monster instead. He first proposed using Anguirus in the role, but producer Shogo Tomiyama vetoed it, wanting to keep him alive for possible use in the sequel. Frustrated, Tezuka suggested Gamera next, and Toho countered with the only turtle kaiju they held the rights to, Kamoebas. Since the monster was to be an immobile corpse, he was portrayed only by an approximately 120cm long prop, modelled by Monsters Inc. employee Shigeaki Ito. The monster was filmed on Toho's Big Pool, and miniature dolls stood in for the soldiers surrounding him. After the Sergio Islanders and a few Japanese visitors killed Ghizora, the space amoeba exited its carcass and moved onto a rubble crab, which it mutated into Ganimes. The monster capsized industrial spy Makoto Obata, then went after the humans on the shore, homing in on Taro Kudo and Ayako Hoshino. He chased the two to a dead end, but Kudo shot out the beast's eyes and tricked him into jumping off the cliff, where a cache of World War II era explosives awaited. Kudo set them off with his rifle after Hoshino pulled him up, causing Ganimes to explode into pieces. The space amoeba again survived, this time possessing Obata, creating a second Ganimes, and transforming a Matamata turtle into the Kaiju Kamoebas. Both monsters tracked down the humans to a cave on the island and prepared to finish them off, but Obata broke free of the amoeba's control and freed a large flock of bats from the cave. Their sonar interrupted the space amoeba's control over the two kaiju, who went wild and attacked each other. Their battle eventually reached the slopes of the island's active volcano. Ganimes tried to throw Kamoebas into the crater, but Kamoebas bit his foe's claw and dragged him down into the magma with him. Obata then jumped into the crater as well, eliminating the space amoeba once and for all. Godman confronted Kamoebas as he lumbered towards a couple of beachgoers. The turtle defended himself on his hind legs, but was eventually outmatched. However, upon attempting to kill the monster with his God Crush and God Sparks, Godman realised that Kamoebas' carapace was too resilient. When the monster Fulgon suddenly appeared, Godman left to fight it, allowing Kamoebas to escape with his life. In 2004, over 30 years since the battle on Sergio Island, the carcass of another Kamoebas washed ashore on Kujikuri Beach in Japan. The Anti-Megalosaurus force noted massive claw marks in the beast's neck, determining it had been killed by a larger predator. There could be no doubt as to this predator's identity: Godzilla. Though unseen, a separate member of the species had previously appeared in 1987. It faced the AMF, who took a sample of its cells and kept them in a canister for laboratory experimentation, along with the samples of various other kaiju, including another Ganimes in 1984 and the original Godzilla. Ganimes primarily fought with his two massive claws, which could snap shut on foes or be used as clobbering weapons. He also threw boulders at Kamoebas and spat foam on him, neither of which was particularly effective. Kamoebas is protected by a spiky shell, which Godzilla Monster Apocalypse notes was resistant to bunker buster bombs. He primarily fought with his teeth and claws, biting and scratching at foes. Kamoebas had an extending neck which could launch forward and allow him to quickly and unexpectedly bite enemies. It easily supported the 12,000-ton weight of Ganimes while throwing him. None of the space amoeba monsters were very resilient. Taro Kudo shot out the first Ganimes' eyes with a rifle, then blew him to smithereens with conventional explosives. Both he and Kamoebas were pained by the ultrasonic waves emitted by a swarm of bats, which also caused the space amoeba to lose control of them. Lastly, the two perished after they plummeted into molten magma. The Kiryu Saga Kamoebas was killed in an off-screen battle with Godzilla, sustaining fatal slashes to his neck. Ganimes featured in a video game for the first time with the Game Boy Godzilla King of the Monsters in 1993, as the enemy following Ghidorah, who'd already been in 2 games before. Since then, the Yog Trio has been relegated to games with sprawling monster casts, starting in 98. Godzilla Trading Battle, Godzilla Generations and its associated VMU game, and Godzilla Defense Force. Kaiju Collection included Kamoebas and Ghidorah, but left out Ganimes. Godzilla Monster Apocalypse mentions several Kamoebases. The first attacked the Philippines in 2002, the second showed up in Guam, and the fourth washed ashore dead on Odo Island in 2030, becoming the first evidence of Godzilla's existence. Several references to Gamera are made in describing Kamoebas' fall. It's 60 meters long, the same as the Showa Friend of All Children, with a melted shell, Gamera 2, and missing right arm, Gamera 3. Ganimes roamed the Bering Sea and, fittingly enough, targeted American crab fishing vessels. In the follow-up novel, Project Mechagodzilla, it was theorized that the aggregated JMO7, which attacked the North American Hedera Research Laboratory, was a subspecies of Ganimes, but no one ever found out for sure. The Yog Trio, of course, featured in picture book and manga adaptations of their movie, and in a couple of original picture books from 1972, most prominently Jumbo Monster Island, where they tore Aztec ruins. Though Ghidorah's had more luck from then on, it's been nothing but cameos for the other two. In issue 9 of the IDW comic series Godzilla Rulers of Earth, a mural on Infant Island classified Ganimes and Kamoebas as water monsters. In prehistoric times, Kamoebas helped Megaguirus battle Gorosaurus to keep the world in balance. He returned by force in the 21st century when the Trilopods captured him. King Caesar freed him and 10 other Earth monsters from the Trilopod hive in Los Angeles, and they joined Godzilla for a massive brawl. Well, the others joined. Kamoebas laid low, though he did survive in the end. The aliens never found Ganimes, though it wasn't their fault. IDW accidentally forgot to license him from Toho. Undaunted, Matt Frank snuck 2 Ganimes like crabs into issue 19. That's all there is for Kamoebas and Ganimes. Thank you for watching.